Fisherman's Catch. Chapter 1, The Whispers of the Sea. The village of Ansley clung to the coast like a limpet to a rock, its weathered houses huddled together against the relentless kiss of the sea. Salt spray, the constant perfume of the ocean, permeated everything: the rough-hewn timbers of the docks, the fishing nets draped like sleeping giants, even the very air Elara breathed. For Elara, the sea was more than just a backdrop, it was the lifeblood of Ansley, its rhythm pulsing in her veins as surely as the tide. Every morning, before the sun dared to peek over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of bruised purple and rose, the village would stir. The fishermen, their faces etched with the lines of a life spent battling the elements, would gather at the harbor. Their boats, sturdy and reliable, bobbed impatiently in the pre-dawn darkness, eager to be unleashed upon the waves. Elara, like the other women of Ansley, would help prepare the nets, mending the tiers and ensuring they were ready to bring home the bounty of the deep. But while the other women moved with a practiced efficiency, their conversations filled with the day's practicalities: the best fishing spots, the mending of sails, the bartering for supplies. Elara's gaze would drift towards the endless horizon. She'd watch the line where the sky met the water, a place of mystery and untold stories. The sea, in its vastness, whispered to her of faraway lands, of adventures beyond the familiar curve of Ansley's bay. It spoke of a life less ordinary, a life that tugged at the edges of her soul. She knew every inch of the coastline, every hidden cove and treacherous current. She could read the language of the waves: the subtle shift in their rhythm that foretold a storm, the gentle swell that promised a calm day. She understood the ebb and flow of the tides, the silent dance between the moon and the sea. This knowledge, passed down through generations of women in her family, was a part of her, as intrinsic as her own breath. Yet, it wasn't enough. A yearning, as deep and restless as the ocean itself, stirred within her. Elara dreamed of more than mending nets and gutting fish. She dreamed of ships with billowing sails, carrying stories from distant shores. She dreamed of exotic spices and strange, unfamiliar faces. She dreamed of a love as vast and boundless as the sea itself, a love that would sweep her away from the familiar shores of Ansley and carry her to new horizons. These dreams, whispered only to the sea, were her secret, a flame kept burning in the quiet corner of her heart. For now, she was Elara, daughter of a fisherman, bound to the rhythm of Ansley. But the sea, she knew, held more for her than just the daily catch. The sea, she felt, was waiting. Chapter 2, The Returning Tide. The usual rhythm of Ansley, predictable as the tides themselves, was disrupted one crisp autumn morning. A collective gasp rippled through the village as a ship, larger than any they had seen in years, sailed into the harbor. Its mast, a proud sentinel against the morning sky, bore a flag Elara didn't recognize, a splash of crimson and gold against the familiar blues and greys. The hull, weathered and scarred, spoke of long voyages and distant ports. A buzz of excitement, like a swarm of bees disturbed from their hive, filled the air. The fishermen, momentarily forgetting their nets, pointed and speculated. The women, their chores momentarily forgotten, craned their necks for a better view. Even the children, usually engrossed in their games, stopped to watch in awe. Elara, standing on the cliff overlooking the harbor, felt a strange flutter in her chest. It wasn't just curiosity, it was something deeper, a sense of anticipation that resonated with the yearning in her heart. This ship, she felt, was different. It carried more than just cargo, it carried the promise of something new, something that could change the very fabric of Ansley. As the ship docked, the villagers gathered at the harbor, eager to welcome the returning sailors. They had been gone for months, some even years, braving the perils of the open sea. The air was thick with the smell of salt and brine, mingled with the exotic scents of spices and unfamiliar woods that clung to the ship like a second skin. One by one, the sailors disembarked, their faces tanned and weathered, their eyes reflecting the vastness of the ocean they had traversed. They were greeted with hugs and cheers, their stories of far-off lands eagerly anticipated. Elara, however, remained on the cliff, watching the scene unfold from a distance. She felt a strange reluctance to join the throng, a sense that she needed to observe, to understand, before immersing herself in the commotion. Her gaze was drawn to one sailor in particular. He was taller than the others, with broad shoulders and a confident stride. His hair, the color of sun-bleached sand, was tied back with a simple cord, revealing a face that was both rugged and kind. But it was his eyes that captivated her. They were the color of the deep ocean, a swirling mix of blues and greens, filled with a depth that spoke of countless horizons. He moved with a quiet grace, a sense of purpose that set him apart from the others. He seemed to carry the sea within him, not just on him. The way he looked at the horizon, a faraway look in his eyes and a slight smile on his lips, made Elara feel like he saw something she didn't. Something magical. He wasn't boisterous like some of the other sailors, nor was he overly eager to be back. He simply took in the scene with a quiet calm, a sense of belonging and yet, a hint of something more. A hint of a longing for the sea, perhaps? Or something more. Elara didn't know his name, but she felt a pull towards him, a connection that resonated deep within her soul. It was as if the sea itself had whispered his name to her, a name carried on the wind and the waves. She watched as he greeted the villagers, his smile warm and genuine. He spoke with a quiet confidence, his voice carrying the subtle lilt of someone who had heard the songs of many lands. Elara knew, in that moment, that her life was about to change. The return of this ship, and this sailor, was more than just a disruption to the rhythm of Ansley. It was the turning of a page, the beginning of a new chapter in her life, a chapter written in the language of the sea. Chapter 3, A Shared Horizon. The days that followed were a blur of activity in Ansley. The return of the sailors had injected new life into the village. Stories of faraway lands, of bustling ports and exotic creatures, filled the air, replacing the usual chatter about fishing and weather. Elara found herself drawn to the harbour, not just to witness the bustling activity, but to catch another glimpse of the sailor who had captured her attention. She learned his name was Liam. It was a simple name, yet it resonated with her, feeling as familiar as the sound of the waves crashing against the shore. She discovered he was a seasoned sailor, having spent years traveling the world, charting unknown waters and exploring distant coastlines. He was quiet and thoughtful, preferring to listen rather than boast about his adventures. His eyes, those captivating eyes that reflected the depths of the ocean, held a hint of mystery, a sense of untold stories waiting to be shared. Their first real encounter was by chance, at the edge of the harbour. Elara was mending a fishing net, her fingers working deftly, while her gaze drifted towards the sea. Liam approached her, his footsteps silent on the wooden planks. "The sea looks peaceful today," he said, his voice gentle, yet carrying a hint of the sea's own vastness. Elara looked up, startled, and then a blush crept up her cheeks. "Yes," she replied, her voice barely a whisper. "It's a good day for fishing." Liam watched her for a moment, his gaze lingering on her face. "You seem to know the sea well," he observed. "I grew up here," Elara explained. "The sea it's a part of me." "I understand," Liam said, a knowing smile playing on his lips. "The sea has a way of doing that. It gets under your skin, into your blood." They fell into easy conversation, talking about the sea, the weather, the village. Elara was surprised by how comfortable she felt with him. He listened attentively to her words, his eyes never leaving hers. He spoke of his travels, of the strange and wonderful things he had seen, of the cultures he had encountered. He painted vivid pictures with his words, transporting her to faraway lands, igniting her imagination and fueling her dreams of adventure. Elara, in turn, shared her knowledge of the local waters, her understanding of the tides and currents, her deep connection to the coastline. She spoke of the folklore of the village, the tales passed down through generations, the stories whispered on the wind and carried by the waves. Liam listened with fascination, his eyes reflecting the wonder and respect he felt for her connection to her home. As they talked, a shared passion for the sea began to emerge, a bond forming between them as naturally as the tide ebbing and flowing. They discovered that they both saw the sea not just as a source of livelihood, but as something more, a force of nature, a source of mystery, a reflection of the human spirit. They spoke the same language, the language of the waves, the language of the heart. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Liam turned to Elara. "I've never met anyone who understands the sea the way you do," he said, his voice filled with admiration. Elara blushed again, her heart fluttering like a trapped bird. "The sea, it speaks to me," she replied softly. "And what does it say?" Liam asked, his eyes searching hers. Elara hesitated for a moment, then whispered, "It whispers of possibilities. Of adventures. Of love." Liam smiled, his eyes sparkling with understanding. "Perhaps," he said, "it's telling you to set sail." Elara's heart skipped a beat. His words echoed her own dreams, her own yearnings. She looked out at the sea, the endless horizon beckoning her. And in that moment, she knew that her life was about to change. The sea, through Liam, was calling her. Chapter 4, The Language of the Waves. The shared horizon that Elara and Liam discovered during their first encounter quickly became a familiar meeting place. They would meet by the harbor, or on the cliffs overlooking the sea, their conversations flowing as effortlessly as the current. Each meeting deepened their connection, weaving their lives together like the strands of a fisherman's net. Liam, with his tales of faraway lands, opened Elara's eyes to a world beyond Ansley. He spoke of bustling marketplaces overflowing with exotic spices, of ancient cities carved into mountainsides, of vibrant cultures vastly different from her own. He described the constellations in the southern sky, unfamiliar patterns that shimmered like diamonds scattered across a velvet cloth. He told her of storms that raged like mythical beasts, and of sunsets that painted the sky in colors she had never imagined. He spoke of the kindness of strangers in distant ports, and the dangers that lurked in uncharted waters. Elara, in turn, shared the secrets of Ansley, the lore and legends whispered amongst the villagers for generations. She told him stories of mythical sea creatures, of mermaids who lured sailors to their doom with enchanting songs, and of benevolent spirits who protected the fishermen at sea. She explained the intricate dance of the tides, the subtle signs in the sky that foretold changes in the weather, the hidden pathways through the treacherous reefs. She taught him the names of the local fish, their habits and their seasons, knowledge passed down through generations of women in her family. Their conversations were a tapestry woven with threads of adventure, folklore, and shared passion. They spoke of their dreams, their fears, their hopes for the future. Elara, who had always kept her dreams locked away in the quiet corners of her heart, found herself confiding in Liam, sharing her yearning for a life beyond Ansley. Liam, in turn, shared his own longing for a home, a place where he could drop anchor and find peace after years of wandering. One evening, as they sat on the cliffs watching the moon cast a silvery path across the water, Liam turned to Elara, his eyes reflecting the moonlight. "You know," he said, his voice soft, "I've sailed to many places, seen many things. But I've never met anyone like you, Elara. You see the world with such wonder, such passion." Elara blushed, her heart fluttering like a seabird caught in a gentle breeze. "And you, Liam," she replied, "you've shown me a world I never knew existed. You've opened my eyes to the possibilities that lie beyond the horizon." He reached out and took her hand, his touch sending a shiver down her spine. "And what do you see now, Elara?" he asked, his gaze searching hers. Elara looked out at the sea, the vast expanse of water stretching out before her like an endless promise. She saw the reflection of the moon, the shimmering stars, the dark silhouette of the distant horizon. And in that moment, she knew what she saw. "I see a future," she whispered, "a future filled with adventure, with discovery, with you." Liam smiled, his eyes filled with love. He brought her hand to his lips and kissed it gently. "And I see a future with you, Elara," he said. "A future as vast and boundless as the sea itself." Their love blossomed under the watchful gaze of the moon and the whispering secrets of the waves. It was a love as deep and powerful as the ocean, a love that promised to carry them to new horizons, together. They spoke of their dreams, of sailing together to distant lands, of building a life together, a life that blended the familiar shores of Ansley with the endless possibilities of the open sea. Their love was a language all its own, a language spoken in the rustling of the sails, the crashing of the waves, the quiet moments shared under the vast expanse of the night sky. It was the language of the sea, and it was the language of their hearts. Chapter 5, The Storm Within. The idyllic days of shared laughter and whispered promises were not destined to last. A storm, both literal and metaphorical, gathered on the horizon, threatening the newfound happiness that Elara and Liam had found in each other's arms. The literal storm brewed quickly, the familiar signs that Elara knew so well appearing with a vengeance. The wind, usually a playful companion to the village, turned into a raging beast, howling through the narrow streets and whipping the sea into a frenzy. The sky, once a canvas of serene blues, became a bruised purple, heavy with the threat of torrential rain. The fishermen, seasoned by years of experience, secured their boats, their faces grim as they recognized the fury of the approaching tempest. But the storm brewing within Elara's heart was even more tumultuous. The intensity of her feelings for Liam, the dreams they had woven together, had awakened a conflict within her. She loved him, with a fierceness that surprised even herself. The thought of sailing away with him, of exploring the world hand in hand, filled her with a longing she could no longer ignore. Yet, the thought of leaving Ansley, the village that had been her home, her sanctuary, for her entire life, filled her with a deep sense of unease. Her family, her friends, the familiar rhythm of life in Ansley, these were the anchors that held her grounded. How could she simply cast them off, sail away into the unknown, even with Liam by her side? The weight of tradition, of expectations, pressed down on her, threatening to suffocate the newfound freedom she had found in Liam's love. Liam, sensing the shift in Elara, tried to reassure her. He spoke of returning to Ansley after their voyages, of building a life that embraced both her love for her village and their shared passion for the sea. But his words, though sincere, couldn't fully dispel the storm clouds gathering in Elara's heart. He, too, was grappling with his own internal conflict. The call of the open sea, the lure of adventure, was deeply ingrained in his soul. Could he truly be content to settle down, to trade the endless horizon for the familiar shores of Ansley, even for Elara? The storm raged for days, mirroring the turmoil within Elara and Liam. The wind howled like a banshee, the rain lashed down with relentless fury, and the sea churned with a violence that threatened to swallow the village whole. Elara, confined to her small cottage, felt trapped, the walls closing in on her as she wrestled with her conflicting emotions. Liam, unable to go to sea, paced the harbour, his gaze fixed on the raging waves, his own anxieties reflected in their fury. The storm, in its destructive power, forced them to confront the fragility of their dreams. The idyllic future they had envisioned, a life of shared adventures and unwavering love, seemed distant and uncertain in the face of the raging elements. The storm, a powerful metaphor for the challenges they faced, threatened to tear them apart before their love could truly take root. It was a test, a trial by fire, that would determine the true depth of their feelings and the strength of their bond. Chapter 6, The Heart of the Catch. The storm finally began to abate, its fury spent, leaving behind a trail of destruction and a lingering sense of unease. The wind, though still strong, had lost its manic edge, and the rain softened to a drizzle. The sea, though still restless, no longer threatened to engulf the village. The storm within Elara and Liam, however, continued to rage. The forced confinement during the storm had created a distance between them, a silence filled with unspoken fears and unresolved doubts. Elara, more than ever, felt the weight of her responsibilities to her family and her village. She saw the worry in her mother's eyes, the unspoken plea to stay, to not abandon the life she had always known. She saw the respect and affection the villagers had for her, the way they relied on her knowledge of the sea. Could she truly turn her back on all of that? Liam, too, was grappling with his own internal storm. He had spent so long chasing the horizon, seeking adventure in distant lands, that the idea of settling down felt foreign, almost suffocating. He loved Elara, deeply and passionately, but could he truly give up the life he had always known, the life that was as much a part of him as the salt in his veins? They met by the harbor, the day after the storm had passed. The air was still heavy with the scent of rain and the wreckage left by the storm. They stood in silence for a moment, the unspoken words hanging between them like a thick fog. "Elara," Liam began, his voice hesitant, I understand if you can't leave. I understand your ties to this village, to your family." Elara looked at him, her eyes filled with tears. "It's not just that, Liam," she said, her voice trembling. It's me. I don't know if I can give up everything I've ever known, even for you." Liam nodded, his face etched with a mixture of understanding and pain. "I know," he said softly. "And I don't know if I can give up the sea, even for you." The silence that followed was heavy, filled with the weight of their unspoken fears. They had reached an impasse, their love caught between the pull of their individual desires and the pull of their shared dreams. Then, Elara took a deep breath, the salty air filling her lungs. She looked out at the sea, the waves still churning, but the sky beginning to clear. "But what if," she said, her voice barely a whisper, "what if we don't have to give anything up?" Liam looked at her, his eyes searching hers. "What do you mean?" "What if," Elara continued, her voice growing stronger, "what if we can find a way to blend our two worlds? What if I can sail with you, see the world you've seen, but still come back to Ansley, to my family, to my home?" Liam's eyes lit up, a glimmer of hope sparking within them. "And what if," he said, his voice filled with excitement, "what if I can learn to love Ansley as much as I love the sea? What if I can find peace here, with you, and still answer the call of the ocean from time to time?" They looked at each other, their faces reflecting the dawning of a new understanding. They had been so focused on the either/or, the choice between the sea and the shore, that they had failed to see the possibility of both/and. "We can find a way," Elara said, her voice filled with conviction. "We can find a way to make it work." Liam reached out and took her hand, his touch sending a wave of warmth through her. "Together," he said, "we can conquer any storm, face any challenge. Because our love, Elara, is stronger than any sea, deeper than any ocean." They stood there, hand in hand, the storm within them finally subsiding, replaced by a renewed sense of hope and a shared determination to find a way to make their love work, a way to blend their two worlds, a way to embrace both the sea and the shore, together. They had found the heart of the catch, not just the bounty of the sea, but the strength of their love, a love that could weather any storm. Chapter 7, A Promise of the Morning Tide. The days following the storm were filled with a renewed sense of hope and purpose. Elara and Liam, having weathered the tempest both within and without, emerged stronger, their love deepened by the challenges they had faced. They spent hours talking, planning, dreaming. They explored the coastline together, discovering hidden coves and secret beaches, their laughter echoing across the water. They sat by the harbor, watching the fishermen mend their nets and prepare their boats, discussing the possibility of Elara joining Liam on his next voyage. Elara, with Liam's encouragement, began to broach the subject of leaving Ansley with her family. It was a difficult conversation, filled with tears and anxieties. Her mother, though hesitant, saw the love shining in Elara's eyes, the newfound confidence and determination that Liam had inspired. She knew that holding Elara back would be like trying to hold back the tide. Her father, a man of few words, simply nodded his approval, trusting his daughter's judgment and recognizing the depth of her feelings for Liam. The villagers, too, were supportive, though not without some reservations. They had always relied on Elara's knowledge of the sea, her ability to read the signs and predict the weather. But they also recognized the love she had found with Liam, the happiness that radiated from her. They knew that she would not be gone forever, that she would return, bringing with her new experiences and perspectives that would enrich their lives. Liam, in turn, began to immerse himself in the life of Ansley. He helped the fishermen repair their boats, learning the traditional methods passed down through generations. He listened to the stories of the elders, absorbing the history and folklore of the village. He even tried his hand at mending nets, his clumsy attempts eliciting laughter from the women who had been doing it since they were children. He discovered a sense of community he had never known before, a sense of belonging that went beyond the camaraderie of his fellow sailors. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, Liam and Elara stood on the cliffs overlooking the sea. They had been talking about their future, their plans for a life that embraced both the sea and the shore. "Elara," Liam said, his voice filled with emotion, "I promise you, we will find a way to make this work. We will sail the seas together, explore new horizons, but we will always return to Ansley, to your family, to our home." Elara smiled, her eyes reflecting the colors of the sunset. "And I promise you, Liam," she said, "that I will never let go of my love for this village, for my family, for my roots. But I will also embrace the adventure you offer, the chance to see the world through your eyes." They sealed their promises with a kiss, their lips meeting under the vast expanse of the sky, the sea whispering its blessings. It was a promise of a future filled with love, adventure, and a deep respect for both the sea and the shore. It was a promise of a morning tide, a new beginning, a life together that would be as vast and boundless as the ocean itself. Chapter 8: The Village Celebrates. News of Elara and Liam's plans spread through Ansley like wildfire. The villagers, initially hesitant, embraced the idea of their union, recognizing the genuine love between them and the exciting possibilities it held for their small community. Elara, the beloved daughter of the village, was embarking on a grand adventure, but she wasn't leaving them behind. She was taking them with her, in her heart, and she would return, bringing with her stories and experiences that would enrich their lives. The village decided to celebrate the couple's love with a traditional festival, a grand affair that combined the customs of the seafaring community with the rituals of the land. Preparations began in earnest. The fishermen, their faces beaming with pride, decorated their boats with colorful flags and garlands. The women baked special cakes and brewed potent ale, their laughter echoing through the narrow streets. The children gathered wild flowers and seashells, weaving them into intricate decorations. The festival was held on the beach, under the watchful gaze of the moon and the whispering secrets of the waves. A bonfire crackled merrily, casting dancing shadows on the faces of the villagers. The air was filled with the aroma of roasted fish, freshly baked bread, and the sweet scent of wild flowers. Music filled the night, the rhythmic beat of drums mingling with the haunting melodies of traditional sea shanties. Elara, dressed in a simple white gown adorned with seashells and wild flowers, looked radiant. Her eyes sparkled with happiness, her smile as bright as the moonbeams dancing on the water. Liam, handsome in his sailor's attire, couldn't take his eyes off her. He had never felt so accepted, so welcomed, so much a part of something bigger than himself. The village elder, a weathered old fisherman with eyes that held the wisdom of the sea, presided over the ceremony. He spoke of the enduring power of love, the importance of community, and the eternal connection between the land and the sea. He blessed Elara and Liam, wishing them fair winds and following seas on their journey together. The celebration continued late into the night. There was dancing and singing, storytelling and laughter. Elara and Liam were showered with gifts, tokens of love and good wishes from the villagers. They danced under the moonlight, their bodies moving in sync with the rhythm of the waves, their hearts filled with gratitude and joy. As the night drew to a close, Elara and Liam stood by the bonfire, their hands clasped tightly. They looked out at the sea, the vast expanse of water that had brought them together. They knew that their journey would not be without its challenges, but they also knew that they faced them together, with the love and support of their village behind them. The festival was more than just a celebration of their love, it was a symbol of the union between the land and the sea, between the familiar and the unknown, between the traditions of the past and the promise of the future. It was a testament to the enduring spirit of Ansley, a village that embraced change while honoring its roots. And it was a promise of a new chapter in the lives of Elara and Liam, a chapter filled with adventure, love, and the endless possibilities of the open sea. Chapter 9, Setting Sail Together. The morning after the festival dawned bright and clear, the sky a canvas of endless blue, the sea a shimmering expanse of emerald green. A gentle breeze carried the scent of salt and seaweed, a reminder of the adventure that awaited. Elara, filled with a mixture of excitement and trepidation, stood on the deck of Liam's ship, the Morning Star. She had said her goodbyes to her family and friends, their tearful farewells mingled with words of encouragement and blessings. Now, she was ready to embark on a new journey, a journey that would take her beyond the familiar shores of Ansley and into the unknown. Liam, sensing her nervousness, took her hand, his touch reassuring. "Ready, Elara?" he asked, his eyes filled with love and anticipation. Elara took a deep breath, the salty air filling her lungs. "Ready," she replied, her voice firm despite the tremor in her heart. The Morning Star set sail, its sails billowing in the wind like the wings of a giant seabird. Elara watched as Ansley receded into the distance, the familiar houses and the bustling harbour gradually shrinking into a hazy silhouette. A pang of sadness tugged at her heart, but it was quickly overshadowed by the thrill of adventure, the excitement of the unknown. Life on board the Morning Star was a whirlwind of new experiences. Elara learned the ropes, literally and figuratively. She helped hoist the sails, scrub the decks, and prepare the meals. She learned to navigate by the stars, to read the subtle signs of the wind and the waves. She discovered a strength and resilience she never knew she possessed. Liam, patient and encouraging, guided her through the challenges of life at sea. He taught her the names of the constellations, the stories behind the stars. He showed her how to identify different types of seabirds, their calls and their habits. He shared his knowledge of the ocean currents, the trade winds, the hidden dangers that lurked beneath the surface. They sailed to islands Elara had only dreamed of, their names exotic and alluring: Isla Verde, with its lush rine forests and cascading waterfalls; Isla Dorada, with its golden beaches and turquoise lagoons; Isla Negra, with its volcanic peaks and black sand shores. They explored ancient ruins, encountered exotic creatures, and met people from different cultures, each encounter broadening their horizons and deepening their understanding of the world. Elara, with her innate connection to the sea, quickly adapted to life on board. She discovered a love for the rhythm of the ship, the creak of the timbers, the splash of the waves against the hull. She found a sense of freedom she had never experienced before, a freedom from the constraints of village life, the expectations of tradition. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. They encountered storms that tested their skills and their courage. They faced challenges that pushed them to their limits. There were moments of doubt, moments of fear, moments when Elara longed for the safety and familiarity of Ansley. But through it all, their love for each other remained steadfast, an anchor that kept them grounded in the midst of the storm. And through it all, Elara never forgot her promise to Ansley. She kept a journal, meticulously recording her experiences, the sights she saw, the people she met, the stories she heard. She collected seashells, exotic spices, and small trinkets, treasures that she would bring back to her village as tokens of her journey. As they sailed from island to island, Elara and Liam's bond grew stronger. They learned to rely on each other, to trust each other implicitly. They discovered a depth of love that transcended the physical, a love that was as vast and enduring as the ocean itself. They were not just lovers, they were partners, adventurers, soulmates, bound together by a shared passion for the sea and a deep respect for each other's dreams. Chapter 10, The Endless Horizon. After months of sailing, exploring, and experiencing the wonders of the world, Elara and Liam felt a pull towards home. The morning star, laden with treasures and memories, turned its bow towards Ansley, the familiar coastline beckoning them back to the shores they loved. As the village came into view, a wave of emotion washed over Elara. A mix of joy, anticipation, and a touch of apprehension filled her heart. How had Ansley changed? How had she changed? The villagers, alerted to the morning star's return, gathered at the harbour, their faces alight with excitement. As Elara and Liam disembarked, they were greeted with cheers, hugs, and a barrage of questions. Elara, beaming, recounted her adventures, sharing her stories and experiences with the eager villagers. She presented them with the treasures she had collected: seashells, spices, and intricately woven fabrics, tokens of her journey and her love for her community. Life in Ansley, after the initial excitement of her return, settled into a new rhythm. Elara, enriched by her experiences, found a balance between her love for her village and her passion for the sea. She continued to help the fishermen, her knowledge of the sea enhanced by her travels. She shared her stories with the children, igniting their imaginations and inspiring dreams of adventure. She became a bridge between the familiar world of Ansley and the wider world beyond, bringing new ideas and perspectives to her community. Liam, too, found his place in Ansley. He embraced the slower pace of life, the sense of community, the connection to the land. He built a small cottage near the shore, a place where he could drop anchor and find peace. He continued to sail, sometimes alone, sometimes with Elara by his side, but his voyages were now imbued with a deeper purpose, a sense of belonging. Their love, tested by the storms and strengthened by their shared experiences, continued to flourish. They explored the familiar coastline with new eyes, discovering hidden beauty in the everyday. They sat by the harbour, watching the sunset, their hands clasped, their silence filled with a deep understanding. They had found a way to blend their two worlds, to honor their individual passions while nurturing their shared love. One evening, as they stood on the cliffs overlooking the endless horizon, Elara turned to Liam, her eyes reflecting the golden hues of the setting sun. "Thank you," she whispered, "for showing me the world." Liam smiled, his eyes filled with love. "And thank you," he replied, "for showing me the meaning of home." They stood there, hand in hand, their silhouettes outlined against the fiery sky, a symbol of their enduring love, a love that had weathered the storms and found its anchor in the heart of Ansley. The sea stretched out before them, vast and mysterious, a reminder of the endless possibilities that lay ahead. But now, they faced the future together, their love as deep and boundless as the ocean itself, their journey just beginning. The fisherman's catch, it turned out, was not just the bounty of the sea, but the love that had blossomed between a woman from a small fishing village and a sailor who had returned from the vastness of the ocean. It was a love story woven into the fabric of Ansley, a story that would be told and retold for generations to come, a testament to the enduring power of love, the call of adventure, and the eternal connection between the land and the sea.